Now, you might be at an institution like UWL where we have some Canvas integration and you don't have to create users manually, but it is helpful at least to see this process right now because of some features that we'll get to by the end of this video. So let's just go ahead and add a user. And I'm just going to create a user whose first name is test1234 and whose last name is student1234. Of course, maybe it's strange that a person has numbers in their first and last name. Let's say that their email address is student1234 at uwlax.edu, and we'll take this part before the @ sign and make it how they log in, and let's make it their default password. So student ID, you could actually store a student ID, but at our institution students don't seem to know their ID, and in fact by doing this, as you'll see here, the initial password is set to whatever their student ID is. So this will work fairly well, and we can assign say both homework 1 and homework 2 to this student. We might make them eligible to do both homework sets. And so we'll do that. Now, we've just created a student, and we will test this in a moment, but let's actually create a second student. So I'll go back to classless editor, again, add one student, and now let's have a student whose last name is student5678, first name test, again, 5678, student 5678. So this will be their password, whatever's in there. Here's their login. This is their email, and nothing else here is required. And let's just, for the sake of this, just say that this student gets assigned to homework set 1 only. Now, why might you do a thing like this of assign a certain homework to somebody? Well, you might have had a student who's sick maybe for a long time, and there's homework sets that are done and closed, and so you had to create an alternate homework set. So you might really, even in a semester, have one student, because of special circumstances, see totally different homework sets than somebody else. So just to see what it looks like from the student side, let's go do this. Oh, actually, before this, now this using this web interface to add students may be really painful. If you are at an institution where there's no integration with Canvas or something like this, there is a way to add students by bulk. And so for that, I refer you to webwork.maa.org/wiki/classlist_files, capital C, capital F. And you need to create a file that looks like this. I mean, there's a lot of explanation here, but the key things are, the student ID or whatever you'd like to use as a password, their last name, their first name. Status should just be C for a current student. Other columns here can be skipped. An email address should be included, and then username. So, for instance, to create the students that we did in Excel, it would be this information, right? So column A has their student ID, column B, last name, column C, first name, column D is their status, capital C or lowercase c, really, for current. I filled in their email in column H, and then in column I, oops, I have an error here. I mean, we're not actually going to use this file. But here, if I took this Excel and didn't save it as an Excel, if I save this as a comma-separated file, what you could do is click to the File Manager area here, upload that CSV, and then go back to the classless editor, and then import a file. That CSV file would be here. That's how you would insert many students in bulk. But that's not what we'll worry about right now. We did create these 2 students manually. So let's see what it's like from a student perspective. So I'm actually using 2 different browsers here. I got Firefox down here, which will be our simulation of the student. Here, the instructor is still signed in Chrome, right? So just think of the top part as the instructor view and the bottom part as the student view. What you will need to tell students is they'll need this, right? The address. So we'll come here, and the student will enter their their login info. So we had what was it, created student1234. Student1234 was the username, and this was also their password. And that's one of the important things is students need to know that whatever their password is for everything else on campus, it's not the same as what's here, right? This is just a different website. It's not connected to all of the other campus resources. What students often do is, even though you tell them, log in, and they can change their password right here in user settings, they never will. I have never seen a student do so. I mean, I'm sure a student has, But what usually happens is a student will email halfway through a semester and say, I can't get into the homework anymore. I don't know what happened. I tried my password. And usually what has happened is they have saved into their browser that default password, had never changed it, and then they were just using a different browser or a different computer. Maybe instead of using their own laptop, they were assigned into a campus desktop to try to do homework, and they email you. So it's just what I've done is I've just gone in, signed out as myself here, and then tried their usual, what I thought was their username and password, because I don't know what their other password is on campus, and it almost always has worked for me. Of course, as an instructor, you have a way to come here and reset passwords for a student anyway. So as student 1234 was assigned both homework sets. Both homework sets are open, so maybe we come to this first homework set, look at the first problem here. Oh yeah, it was some absolute value equation, and I didn't want to prepare. So what I have here, say in this instructor view, we'll just do this graphically. How about y equals absolute value of 4x minus 20, and then y equals 24, and we'll look for our two solutions, 11 as well as -1. So we just need to, in the box, what is this here? Oh, it doesn't want the two solutions as a comma separated list. It's not -1 comma 11. Here they want the sum of the two solutions. Fine, -1 plus 11. And then, so we know the answer should be positive 10, and you could enter it as positive 10. Let's say we actually screwed up. Maybe I had a little typo like this, and so I do this, and then I did the problem incorrectly. Great, it told me that, and I've tried the problem once. We have by default an unlimited number of attempts. As the instructor, we could limit the number of attempts. I don't really see a need to do so. It's not really that a student, by lucky guessing, is going to get most problems anyway. But let's go ahead and put in a correct answer. I mean, this is equivalent to a correct answer, right? -1 plus 11, which the system has simplified to 10. And this green bar across tells the student they have credit for the problem. They don't need to submit something at the end. So we've tried the problem twice, have 100% points for this. And then we could move to the next problem, or click to problem list to see all three problems in the homework set. And again, we see that earned credit here, and then two problems that we have not even attempted even once yet, right? So maybe we could click to problem 3, and oh, this one's easy, right? Enter the smaller one first. Sure, -80, positive 80, right? Earned credit for that. We could sign out from this student and then sign in, say, as the other student. What was it? Student 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I remember, they were only assigned one of the two homework sets. Yeah, homework set 1, but not homework set 2. So this student can come in, and you'll see the problem that this student was assigned is the same format as the problem the other student was assigned. You see the two sides of the equations up here, but it is a different problem, right? It's of the same format. This is nice, students can't completely cheat off each other. Like, they would really need to work with each other. So I turned off the other. Let's see, 9 plus -3, so positive 6. And again, we could put in positive 6 all kinds of ways. So I just put in 12 over 2, and this earns credit. We could, even though we have credit, and it's not possible to lose credit, we could put in the same answer again, which is still correct. I mean, we could put in SQRT 36. There's lots of different ways the answer could look, and this is one of the nice features of this newest version of WeBWorK, is that answers really look like mathematics. In the past, students, I'll just use this space to do it, really had to type in things that look like this. And of course, when it came to an answer that involved, say, the quadratic formula for some quadratic equation, and they had to type in answers that looked like, plus 11 squared, squared minus 4 times whatever the A was, times whatever the C was. Maybe it was -9. Students would really get lost with parentheses here, right? This right parenthesis closes off the square root, and this entire numerator now needs to be in parentheses. And then, divide by, due to order of operations, 2 times, what was the A here? I'm simulating a 5, right? So really, parentheses mismatch, the system wouldn't understand. So this is really nice to have a thing that looks like this that really looks like true mathematics instead of this type of thing that students used to have to type. Now, you saw sort of an extreme reason, a student being sick and maybe needing an alternate homework set as why students might have different homework sets visible to them. But here's so it might seem strange. Let's reload here. Why is it that, say we see from the student view, one of the students has two out of the two homework sets visible to them, and the other student has only one out of the two. So we can click here and make the other homework set assigned to the student so that they can see it. So we can do that from the homework set, or we can click, that was one student at a time, or we can go to the homework sets area and see homework set 1 is assigned to 3 out of the 4 users. You might say, why 3 out of the 4? Well, there's the instructor, and then the two students, the administrator, I mean, it's not going to be doing the homework, right? But we could assign it to them. There's a button here to assign homework set to all the current users. So this might seem really strange. Why is there this needing of a connection, a pairing, so to speak, of the user and the homework set? Well, here's a classic reason why. You might not have set up all of the homework sets that you need for the semester in the beginning. So what if it's in the middle of the semester right now and you decide, oh, well, I've created homework set 1 and homework set 2. It's time for me as instructor, while I'm signed in here on the instructor side, the top half, to come in here and create homework set number 3. So homework set 3. And, this would never happen, right? But let's just say we're picking statistics problems. It seems like a very, lots of different things going on in this class, right? So we've selected some topic area, and here you are, and oh, I don't know, let's say this problem sounds good to throw into the homework set, and boom, you've done it. Now, this homework 3 has not been assigned to any of the current students. If it had been by default, what about this student here? This student might come here, and again, it's a good thing they don't see down here in this student view, homework number 3 right now, because you might be in the middle of creating it, right? So the problem is, if they see this new homework set pop up just by default down here, and they start doing it while you're still adding problems, the student might have finished all the problems that they see, but you're still adding problems to it. You might be adding problems at the moment, or you might have just started creating the homework set and then you got interrupted, and then the next day you were going to add more problems. You really don't want a situation where a student who's just working maybe ahead, so ahead that they just saw a homework set you're just trying to design pop up and they're doing it. So the whole idea here is, oh, we've only added one problem right now. Maybe we're going to add this second problem. Maybe we're going to add this third problem. And now, this might even be 2 days later that you've done all this stuff. And now that the homework set has all the problems that you want in it, then you can click back here to the homework sets editor. Of course, for homework 3, you can change the open, close, and answer available date, but this is currently only available to 1 out of the 4 students, the instructor right now. But because now we have all 3 problems, you really want to only release a homework set when it's ready for students to look at, right? This is really analogous to what you do in your own homework design on paper. So then you'd click here, and then if this homework 3 looks like how you really want it to, barring some unforeseen circumstance, then you can click here to assign it to all students. And now, having clicked that, all students can see it. So if I go back to the student view and hit reload, this student will see this homework set 3. Oh, but we didn't change the open date, right? So we could do that. And then, so that's really perhaps the most important reason. I hope you see why, by default, you don't want students to just see the homework set, right? You might be in the process of designing it.